Are your words causing women to ghost you? Hi there, men's dating coach Harry Wilmington here, founder of IntrovertDatingSuccess.com, and today you'll discover how using certain words or phrases when communicating with a woman can cause her to leave you on red and her attraction for you dead. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified when a new daily episode is available. Also, check out the links in the description to download my free ebook, Texting Like a Boss, and to show your support by clicking on the tip jar link, both of which can be found at the website as well. And now, let's check out that clip.
This one is called Girl Ghosted Me After a Date, a great first date. So it goes like this. It says, we met on Tinder. We laughed a lot, had a lot in common. I paid for the meal. She was keen for more drinks after the meal, and she paid for those. Everything was great, and I made sure not to be physical on that first date, so she understood I was not looking for a hookup. It was most certainly a mutual fun night, and there was chemistry. This is a major problem that guys have, is that they think that women don't want hookups. And they'll believe this because they'll see on online profiles things like, I'm not looking for a hookup, or I don't want sex right away. None of these things means a woman does not have a sexual desire. What that typically means is she's trying to weed out the guys that are specifically there for sex. But if she agreed to a date with you and she went out with you, what that typically means is, at the very, very least, she's open to the possibility at some point in the future, whether that future is an hour from now or 5 dates from now, to have sex with you, okay? But it's still your job as a guy to put out there the fact that you are a sexual being and that you do desire her in that way. Now, you don't have to go about this in a sleazy manner. You could say some witty wordplay that would indicate that you'd be down for some activity, or even on the date, you always want to be looking for signals from her that indicate it's okay to do certain things, whether it's like touching her shoulder or touching her hand or whatever, or walking close to her when you're walking side by side and seeing if she pulls away or not. So you'll be doing things to see what her reactions and stuff are. But what you don't want to do is be a eunuch. You don't want to be a eunuch on these dates where you're just like, I'm not going to be Mr. Sexual at all. I'm not going to say or do anything. Hi, ma'am. How are you today? Would you like to eat dinner with me? Because that's not attractive either. A woman wants a guy that knows how to handle his sexual drive in a respectful yet upfront way without being too overly eager. And when you don't show that, you mess up. And I've had plenty of dates like that. Oh, we can go back to the date earlier with the girl that I took to the movies. That was the cousin of my friend. I took her to the movies. After the movie, I'm driving her back to her dorm room, and she invites me to her dorm room. First date, she took me into her bedroom, and all that's there is this big bed and very little space. And I literally sat on the bed like, what are we supposed to do in here? There's this big bed here. There's nothing else to do in here. I need to go home. I was still a virgin at this time, by the way, too. But what happened was, I didn't take her up on that advance that she helped to create. And then the next time I tried to ask her out, she didn't want to go anymore. So because I didn't do stuff on that first date, that ruined my chance for later. And that's because I wasn't following her timing. So if you're able to read signals and see what her timing is for this stuff, then it can be perfectly fine to bring up things like, hey, let me see what your room looks like. Hey, let me take that. At any point in this time, you can just say, if the woman says no or rejects it, then I'm cool. I can still just have a good time and just hang out. But you don't completely not do anything. All right. Anyway, continuing on. Next day comes, and I said I had a great time via text. You don't do that. Not the next day. And we should do it again. She took ages to respond. 8 hours or so. And then she said she had a great time too. So what I tell you guys about, you being the first to reach out after a date and you trying to text and say, oh, I had a good time, and you're thinking women are going to respond positively to that. I have found the only time I reach out for that is if I go home and the woman reaches out to me and says, hey, I just want to say thanks again, Harry, for the great evening. And that's when I'll say, hey, I'm glad you had a good time. I had a great time too. But if she's not reaching out first, you wait, and the next time you talk to her is when you're asking for that second date. Because as you see in this example, as I've talked about before, it does not typically work in your favor, especially the very, very next day. You're coming off too desperate. You're like, oh, I'm ready to get another date in. And you haven't even given her time to reminisce about the first date. He says, then I said, shall we meet again on the weekend? And she basically wasn't very clear. She said something like, and watch that murder documentary we were talking about. I said, sounds good to me. She read that, so left him on red. Then I text again saying maybe we could do mini golf during the day. Anyway, she never read that and ghosted me. So I do want to talk a little bit about his approach here, because the words that he's using are not words that confident guys use. And this is an example. I talked about this a few shows ago about like words that can seem feminine in terms of when they come out of a man's mouth, or in this case in a man's text, and it's words that do not make women feel like they're a leader. Him saying things like, well, maybe we can meet up. Shall we meet again? These are very, very nice guy ways of trying to ask for a date, but they are using words that to a woman do not come across as very strong words that are saying, I want you to do this thing. So stop doing that, because I know there are a lot of guys that are trying to do this as a way of like, well, I don't want to put forth too much force, or I don't want to pressure her to thinking that I want this date. So I'm going to be like, maybe we can do this thing. Is this okay if we try this? Men go in knowing what they want. So what you do instead, I found using the word let's is a great way to put forth an idea. And it's a way to do it where you say it and you're not even asking her the question. You're saying, let's do this thing. And then she can decide yes or no. But that's a more powerful ask for a date for a woman than saying, maybe we should try this, or what do you think about this? Or how about if we say like, so for example, let's say, and this guy said, he's saying, maybe we can go do mini golfing. Don't do that. You say, hey, had a great time with you the other night. Let's go mini golfing. I'm free this day and this day. Let me know what works for you. In none of that did I ask a question. Everything that I said was a statement and a sentence. And that I find is a key secret to be able to get more dates, is by you saying, this thing, I want this thing to happen. It's going to happen. Are you down, and when can you do it? But you're not saying it in question form. And surprisingly, I've gotten more dates phrasing things that way than I ever did asking actual questions. So that's a little tip for you guys out there, all right? He says she follows me on Instagram and looks at my stories still. She also never unmatched me on Tinder. What the heck is wrong with her? Can't she just say what she means and mean what she says? The short answer is no, because women, as nice as they are, don't want to hurt your feelings. So they don't want to typically say to you, I'm not interested, or you're turning me off, or you seem needy, because that would be hurting your feelings directly. So they do the passive thing, which is not talk to you, thinking that you'll get the hint and just go away. And it sucks for us, because on our end it hurts. Like when we try to reach a girl and it's like 5 days in a row and they're not responding back, it hurts, because we're like, it'd be better if they just said, I'm not interested. We can be about our day. But we start reading to that whole thing, and then we take it as mixed signals. And I've told you guys before, there is no such thing as mixed signals, because a girl that likes you, she cannot send a mixed signal, because she doesn't want to risk losing you. So if a woman's doing something like this, where she's responding every 8 or 10 hours or not at all, or you see she's left you on red, but she's still checking your Instagram, but she's not reaching out to you, you got to look at the actions. So if the action is saying, I don't want to see you, then read the action. Because she could be saying, hey, I want to see you, while she's running away from you. What are you going to believe? You got to stop believing the words, guys. Believe it when you ask her for another date and she says, yes, let's go out. Okay?
Now that you've heard from me, I'd like to hear from you. Have you had a woman ghost you before? And how did you handle it? If you're watching on YouTube, leave your comments below or write me at HarryWilmington@gmail.com. Are you ready to learn killer icebreakers that attract women on dating apps? Go to introvertdatingsuccess.com right now to watch my free video training, How to Get Attractive, Feminine, Emotionally Stable Women Dying to Respond to Your First Messages on Dating Apps Without Using Sleazy Pickup Lines, which will give you key secrets to sparking attraction and conversations with women online the smart way. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment on this video, and catch new episodes 7 days a week on YouTube and anywhere else podcasts can be streamed. In the meantime, check out some of the other awesome episodes on this page so you can better learn how to attract women and still get your precious alone time. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.